Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. You know, that's this little fight between Ukraine, not and Russia, Ukraine and Poland. And this is just a, how should I put it? Just a result of older disagreements between the two nations, between the two countries. This is just showing the symptoms of the sickness, which is brewing for has been brewing for at least about 80 years, about 50, 70, 73 years, about 70 some years, more precisely about 1943. Maybe you're familiar with what happened over there with the Ukrainians and Poles during the Second World War and the Nazis. So now Ukraine wants its grain to be sold on the Western and European market, and Poland tries to protect its people, its farmers. Ukraine disagrees with that and sued Poland at the World Trade Organization. And then Poland said, you know what, we're not going to send in any more weapons to Ukraine because they gave a flimsy reason. We want to make sure that we get ready, we modernize our military, therefore we're not going to kind of give you, here and there maybe, no, yes. We have here the leader of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, and he comes and says that the West, in his assessment, is preparing to dump Zelensky. That's according to Lukashenko. Let's see what kind of arguments he brings, because we like to see if the arguments are logical at least and factual. So Russia Today, 22nd of September 2023. West preparing to dump Zelensky, Lukashenko says. The Belarusian president hinted at a US connection to Poland's initiation of the grain dispute with Ukraine. Well, if you look deeper a little bit, all this was triggered by Russia pulling out of the Black Sea grain agreement because, according to the Russians, the Western countries did not honor their side or their part of the deal. Washington has given the go-ahead to its partners to, quote-unquote, dump Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky as he has become a nuisance, Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko claimed during a government meeting on Friday. Okay, why did he become a nuisance? Let's see. Lukashenko, your arguments. Lukashenko pointed to the ongoing grain dispute between Poland and Ukraine as an example of this new policy, noting that Warsaw has been one of Zelensky's staunchest supporters, but is now sharply critical of its partner. Well, this shift occurred after Poland, along with Hungary and Slovakia, unilaterally banned the import of Ukrainian grain despite the EU having chosen to lift its bloc-wide embargo. In turn, Kiev filed disputes against the three countries with the World Trade Organization. I'm quoting, do you think that Poland is putting pressure on poor Ukraine today for no reason? He asks. No, he answers. They have been given the go-ahead from overseas. And it says, we need to dump this Zelensky. We are tired of him. End quote, Lukashenko said. Alexander, I don't think that's really a strong case. But anyway, let's see. Maybe you have some more in your pockets. He noted that the US has an upcoming presidential election and suggested that no one will care about Zelensky at that point. Well, Zelensky is going to be a liability at that point, I'm thinking. At the same time, US President Joe Biden stressed on Friday that Washington would stick with Zelensky throughout the Russia-Ukraine conflict and announced the US-made Abrams tanks would start arriving in Ukraine next week. Get ready. Set and go. All right, I so want to see how those tanks will perform, and will perform as any other tank, which will have some success. Some of them will be blown up, and eventually they will all be blown up. And Americans will have to make a decision: more or zero. I think the second option will be. Meanwhile, Zelensky, who is on the record second wartime visit to Washington, insisted that Kiev's continued fight against Russia relied on sustained US military assistance and reportedly said that if it doesn't get the aid, it, quote-unquote, will lose the war. We all know that. That's why it's not Ukraine fighting Russia. It is NATO, which is Al Capone, fighting Russia with the Ukrainian nation being decimated. I've been saying this for a long time already. So far, the Biden administration has spent $115 billion on military and financial aid. No, that's weapons and money for the government to function. Weapons to kill Russians. Don't hide behind the aid and like a band-aid. No, it's that's what the aid is. So yeah, look at it. And recently asking for an additional $24 billion to be approved by the end of the month. However, a growing number of lawmakers, predominantly from the Republican, I don't believe that, so forget about it. What I would like to point out here is this little picture here, right here, and can you guess who that is? That is Schumer, right? This is Schumer, my friends. This is the majority leader in the Senate. He is the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, and he's Jewish. And so is Zelensky. Nothing wrong with that, but why aren't they both Romanians? I have no idea. Are we a little bit not that? Just a coincidence. Blinken is Jewish. Newland is. The former British ambassador, what's the name? Simon, the same. And I can go on and on if you want. What's his name? That idiot actor Sean Penn, again, is half. Just coincidences, but whatever. Who cares, right? I mean, doesn't really matter. Nothing. I don't think it's a crime to point reality unless you reach a conclusion, and the conclusion is a certain kind of a conclusion. I'm merely pointing out reality. So if I say outside is daylight and a crime occurred during a daylight, I should not be guilty of anything. I just point out that today is daylight still outside. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think you know exactly what I mean. So here is, my friends. I don't think, probably is going to get out, Zelensky, but I don't think so, because his public relation persona they worked so hard, and it has no how should I put it, no drawbacks. Zelensky so far has not a dent of being not the A-OK perfect strong leader of Ukraine. Nothing. He's fighting corruption. He is in charge. He's always like this. He does whatever he's told. So they didn't start yet to criticize him at all. He fired his buddy Reznikov, another Zelensky Stein, as the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Zhmyhal, as Yermak. I mean, anyway, just a coincidence, I'm pretty sure. Again, but there's no Romanians over there. How in the hell? Or French, or I don't know, Albanians, or I don't know. I can name them, whatever, French, British. I can go Hungarians in the area. You would say, well, or for that matter, Ukrainians. Anyway, my friends, just a coincidence. Well, as I always say, man, I don't care who's in charge. If that person in charge does a good job and defends the country's interest, I don't care if that person is German or his name is Klaus Johannes. But I think he is a little bit, anyway, you know what I mean? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. They're not ready to dump him yet. They're still waiting.